3, 2, 1.
Super friend. Sit down. Bitch.
What the fuck? Why'd you do that?
Bitch.
Bitch. Welcome back to Super Friend Sit Down.
Welcome to Spooky Friend Sit Down. Because this is our first episode. Filmed in October. Because
This is true, yes. This is the first actual October episode
The
we
first
filmed.
October filmed episode.
up in-
As you might be able to tell, viewers, by the spooky lighting, the presence of shadows, our spooky candle.
Additional limbs. No? Isn't this great? Wait, come here. Let me
You
just...
son of a bitch. Oh. To our radio listeners, first and foremost, are those two right hands?
They are. Hold on.
He has, I'm sure you've seen online, miniature hands. Oh my god, how many are there?
One for each finger. And
Okay,
there's
I guess
there's
that's
5
fair.
right and 5 left.
I guess that's fair. So yeah, I'm sure you've seen on the internet. There's little tiny hands that. Ooh, okay. He decided to caress my hands with. So
It's not, listen, it's not all I'm gonna caress with these.
it's only so long before those end up in a butt.
Intro to fisting. If only these were like malleable.
Freeze him.
Just
He's gonna. Ooh, there it is.
gonna flip you off.
Yep. So before we get into our first October episode and our first, well, I guess technically second spooky season theme.
Yeah, second and third, if you're keeping track or paying attention.
Sure. How was we'll be brief on this just because I know we have a lot to talk about. How was your week?
My week was interesting
Tell me
because
about
I
it.
got on the turnpike and somebody was at a dead stop and then started reversing. And they almost went right up into me.
I'm pretty sure you told the story last week.
Did I?
Yeah.
It's still fresh in my head because people keep doing things on the turnpike where they're stopping.
Because I think we were talking about my stupid commute here, and then you were talking about because you were going to the gym and you were running a little late, right?
No, that was different.
Oh, it's a different instance.
This happened like a few days ago. I was getting on the turnpike north to go to Staten Island.
Okay, because I
And a person was dead stopped on the entrance to the turnpike.
Okay.
And then started to reverse at a fast speed. And literally, I slammed on my brakes. Everything in my car flew forward. Everything on them, I don't know what happened to them.
it's very deja vu because that same thing happened where you came to like a skidding halt and shit flew forward, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, listen,
Wow, that is
people in New Jersey need to learn how to drive.
2 for 2.
Because, and then, you know what happened today?
What happened today?
I was getting onto the turnpike.
Onto the turnpike.
Some guy got fucking smacked off his motorcycle.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. And there was cops. The 2 cars had pulled over. The guy, shit's getting weird. Mercury's in retrograde still, and I'm just not here for it.
And I still don't know what that means.
Shit's getting real. That's
Shit's
what it
getting real.
means.
Sure.
Coronavirus.
I can't say I had a really interesting week. I had a good weekend, I should say, because
Tell me about your week while I try to open this can of seltzer with a little hand.
to all of our just listeners, he's using the aforementioned little previously mentioned little hands to try and open the seltzer, which the sound you hear was not successful as he used his regular fingers. So uncomfortable to watch.
I wonder if I just...
It's like watching him try to open a can with ZD.
ZD?
Yeah. I mean, the week itself, it's very, very uneventful, boring. Not a lot happened, honestly. The weekend, however, was great. Saturday, we went over to Jay's apartment and celebrated his birthday from Dave and Jay versus the world. I did, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I met Dave. Finally met Dave. And
I'm scared for the day I actually meet him.
His
Our
first,
Instagram DMs are...
His first words to me... Well, he actually even asked me, he's like, who sent me the pukey face? I was like, that was Vince. I had met him, and his first words to me as I entered the kitchen were, oh my god, you are a much bigger person than I expected to be. Like, you're a much bigger person than I expected to be. I was like, thank you? I'm flattered. Thank you, Dave.
I will say, the other day when I saw you and you were in your work shoes and you were like 6'2" and you were like towering over me, I was like, Daddy?
Yeah, my work shoes are
so ugly.
Yeah, they're disgusting. They're very clunky and borderline, like, orthopedic, I would say. Yeah.
I would agree with you on that.
With, like, the Air Max, like, bubble thing on the bottom.
It gives you about 4 inches of height.
It's really dumb, honestly, viewers and listeners. My work shoes, if you ever see me and I'm wearing them, Can you clap with those, please?
I'll give you a round of applause. I feel like a girl who just got a curl.
Can you hit me with a Mr. Burns now, too? But, yeah.
Best $10 I ever spent on Amazon.
And actually, when I got to Jay's, the first thing I did was I said happy birthday.
Okay.
And I hit him with his own commercial, and I presented him with a Rain Energy.
Oh, did you really?
I was like, here you go, Jay. Happy birthday. Here's a Rain Energy fortified with BCAAs and all sorts of caffeine and shit. And he actually just like cracked it and drank it right there. It was like 6 in the afternoon, and
those don't do anything to me.
That's a lot of caffeine for that time of night.
What is it? 300 milligrams?
It's 300 milligrams.
Chump change.
Yeah. But afterwards, Sunday was a honestly pretty remarkably good day. First off, it was beautiful out. I took a aerial like yoga / fitness class. And I got my ass kicked, and it was kind of awesome. And
they're very fun, those classes.
I had a really good time, and the instructors were very, very nice. If anybody's interested in doing that, it's AIR Aerial Fitness in New Providence, which is about like... it's like
Sorry. I feel like Freddy Krueger.
30 to 40 minutes, from depending on where we're at. And it was a great time. I genuinely felt bad for the staff having to clean up and touch... my equipment that I used. There was one point in time where, to anyone who's familiar with what a side plank is, I put my feet up in the silks, and as I turned my body, it was as if a small cup of water came out of my mask.
Ew.
And I'm so happy that music was playing, because I heard
been like a sound.
I heard it, and at that point I was just like, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Oh shit, they saw me.
Yeah, but yeah, that was really awesome. And then we had a housewarming for Pete. Oh. That was really cool. It was great to like have all the friends together for a little bit. We were missing a few people. And the crowning moment, I think, for me was that I successfully played with and held a baby for the first time without it crying hysterically right off the bat.
Good for you.
I fucking did it. It took 30 years, but you know what? I made it happen, and it felt really good.
Do you instantly want a child now?
I've never not wanted to be a dad, but that moment made like really like
that solidified it.
I wouldn't say it solidified it, but it definitely kind of like put things into perspective for me that like I kind of want to be what I never got.
Okay,
so
that's fair,
right?
Yeah. I guess that's usually what like you do when you have a kid. Is you're like, I'm gonna do the things my parents never did for me.
Yeah, I mean that whole mindset kind of made me, kind of molded my personality to be who I am. Because if you meet me and then meet my dad, you'd be like, how the fuck did you come from that guy?
Because you're your mother. Yeah. Oh, Susie.
Yeah, I'm 110% my mother's personality and
face.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I took maybe... The only thing I think I took from my dad is hair. Because he also has, like, the dense, spongy hair, which, I mean, I'm hoping, knock on whatever wood nearby, that... Sure. that I maintain my hairline until I die.
Which, one can only dream.
Yeah, right?
That's the goal in life as a man.
Yeah.
Just make it past 45 without balding.
Dude, make it past 35. It's fucking stress levels these days. On top of that,
Beer.
Yeah, I mean, well, to kind of hone in the spooky season, I have a. I'm not a huge pumpkin person, but I figured for the first October episode, I would go a little themed. This is a Southern Tier Pumpkin. It's made Pumpkin.
Okay.
P-U-M.
Puns.
Yeah, and it's made with cold brew coffee. It's a little chocolatey. It's got some seasonal spices. And,
So pumpkin.
Yeah, and it's also
a little cinnamon and nutmeg.
It's like 8.6%, so it'll do some damage to you if you aren't careful. But
Just chug it.
Overall, in terms
It
of
says
pumpkin,
vintage 2020. What does that mean? Vintage.
I don't know, man.
I don't understand how beer works like that.
I don't understand what vintage is anymore, because vintage used to mean a thing, but now it's like, I bought this thing 10 minutes ago, and it was made 15 weeks ago. Vintage.
Do people actually do that?
I don't know, probably.
Influencer culture needs to be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, go to your local Urban Outfitters and buy a new pair of fucking dungarees, and then I chose dungarees, and then sand them down. And be like, oh yeah, vintage dungarees. I fucking said it.
I mean, I don't mind the dungaree reference. It's very educated of you to say something so unusual.
Pants,
Yeah.
whatever.
However, no. If you sand them down, they're not vintage now. They're distressed. And I am distressed at people making vintage remarks when things aren't actually old.
And I learned something.
What did you learn?
I didn't know that if you sand things down, it becomes distressed.
Well, like jean-wise. You've never heard of distressed jeans?
No. Well,
You do wear pretty basic denim.
I have heard of it, but I never knew what it meant. And I wear jeans that are jeans.
Yeah.
I do prefer a athletic fit jean.
Okay.
Give them a good old squat test and make sure they don't burst at the seams. So far, I've done pretty well.
When you find a pair of pants that fits your ass, how much do you have to get them tailored so that way they are not swimming in your calves?
So far, only like suit
You've
pants.
actually had to get them tailored. Oh my god.
I mean, not for calves, but for like a good fitted like look. But it's funny because like I have a couple pairs of like chinos.
Okay.
That I wear either to work or casually sometimes, and it's like they're very form fitting.
Right.
And it's so hilarious watching just my legs go like. It's like holding a triangular lollipop.
What?
Well, like an upside down triangle.
Oh my god.
Like
Yeah, I know.
like that. Which is
So bad. It's a horrible visual. That's you and a pair of chinos is an upside down triangle on a stick.
I actually think I pull them off pretty well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Listen, let your chino flag fly. Ain't nobody gonna stop you.
Damn right. Anyway, before we continue with talking about pants, today's topic.
Spooky.
One thing that Vince and I hold dear and true to our spooky heart titties.
The eyes of the nipples of the face. If you're watching this, I'm wearing a Scream shirt, and the eyeballs of Drew Barrymore sync up with my nipples perfectly.
And not only that, too, but we found it super fitting that for today's topic, we have a episode 13. Ooh. Which, classic homage to the
spooky
vintage movie, Friday the 13th.
That would be considered a vintage movie, yes.
I know.
I would call that a classic.
I planned on using that correctly. And I'm
very
happy,
proud of you.
I'm happy I succeeded. Now, how do you feel?
Okay.
Since we're on the topic of vintage and classics,
Yes.
how do you feel about remakes?
Let me tell you something about remakes.
Tell me something
I
about
actually
remakes.
thought about this too earlier in the day, and I'm glad you brought it up. I sometimes like a remake. There's some remakes not terrible. Lately, remakes have been horrible. The horror of how horrible they are. That's the scary part. Ooh, hashtag the horror. Now, one remake that I am excited for that still has not come out is the Candyman remake with Jordan Peele. Now
is that I know that's in production. Did they?
Oh, it's done. It's done.
Did it have a release date?
No.
Oh,
That's the thing. It was supposed to come out, but then quarantine happened. Now,
okay, got it.
it's weird because it's been so long since the original franchise that it would be considered a remake. However, I do think it's considered a sequel in Jordan Peele's mind.
Oh.
Because it's supposed to, like, it touches on the original story and, like, the continuation. And that's another thing is, speaking of remakes, a lot of people think The Craft Legacy just came out with a preview this week.
Right.
And that is...
It's a continuation, right?
Is a continuation.
Because it
because
follows
it references the first movie.
Right.
And I don't know if that's necessarily, like, what's going to make it a sequel is to reference... Because you can reference the original in a remake. However, what's so weird about it is people are arguing whether it's a remake or a sequel because a lot of iconic moments from the first movie, they're trying to duplicate in this movie.
Oh.
So,
That's
like,
kinda,
light as a feather, stiff as a board scene they're redoing.
That's kind of lazy.
We Are the Weirdos, Mr. Well, you know what it is they're trying to appeal to the people who love the movie and who love the things in the movie.
Did they also do Witches? Was that a remake or is that...
That just came out, the preview for Witches. Anne Hathaway is in that.
Is that a remake or is that
Yes,
a sequel?
it's a remake.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a remake. The first one with Angelica Houston is untouchable, but Anne Hathaway...
You can't count her out.
Can't count Anne Hathaway out. And my favorite, Octavia Spencer's in it, so I'm going to have to watch it.
Do you remember? Anyway.
Speaking of scary movies, Ma.
Yeah, psychological thrill ride.
It was a journey.
It was definitely better than I expected, Ma.
Yes.
Now, my favorite genre of horror, as tired as it might be, is I love a good zombie movie.
Okay.
I love a good zombie movie. However, it is genuinely... I feel like it's genuinely hard to make a scary movie these days. I feel like the last movie that actually kind of caught me off guard or scared me or like really made me think in general.
Hereditary. Yeah.
No. That made me think about how I'm so good at wasting my time. There was a few series of movies that actually like really reeled me in and made me think and made me like just super drawn in. And that is the Conjuring Annabelle series. I thought those were very well done. I also
The Conjuring and the Annabelle series?
They tied in.
They're... Okay, so it's like the Marvel thing.
Yeah, they tied in.
Okay, but scary. Gotcha.
Then there was... I don't know if you ever saw the Insidious movies.
Never caught my attention.
I actually really enjoyed them a lot. The last one was a little but the first one was great. I thought 2 and 3 were pretty good. And then I don't know if they're as well known. I could obviously be wrong. The Sinister movies.
Okay.
Sinister was Ethan Hawke, I believe, and it was just pretty fucked up. And quick rewind.
Word vomit.
Remakes. Did you see the remake of Pet Sematary?
You know what? I sure did.
I hated it.
Here's the problem.
I hated it.
All of these movies that were made were so good, and they're like, ooh, you know what? None of us can come up with an original fucking thought. Let's just remake something that was good and make a quick buck.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate. It wasn't terrible, but it just... One thing about remakes that remakes have to understand is you're never gonna hit the original and, like, throw them out of the water. The original will always be better.
Yeah.
Sidney Prescott said it in Scream 4. Don't fuck with the original. Which, Scream 5 is in production 2022. You better get ready for it.
I find it so almost ironic that...
Don't you think?
Scream 4, the 4th installment, don't fuck with the original.
Yeah.
I find that great.
Well, because... Here's a little brief history. As somebody who loves the movie franchise Scream, as a Wes Craven fanatic myself, the original Scream movies were written as a trilogy. So 1, 2, and 3 were all written out.
Sorry, I just thought of something fun.
So then when they did Scream 4, it was them talking about, like, it was sort of like we know we're talking about this in the movie. It's very meta where they know what's going on. They're trying to duplicate and do like a copycat. Screams 4, 5, and 6 were all written together too. It was written as a second trilogy, so that's why it's like the remake thing.
Wait, there's a 5 and 6?
Well, Scream 5 is in production right now. It has a release date in 2022.
Right.
And then Scream 6 will probably follow.
Interesting. Okay.
However, it's been like 10 years since Scream 4.
That's it? I thought it would be longer.
No, yeah, I can't.
Interesting.
It's been over 20 years since.
Now, let me
What? Yeah.
ask you.
Ooh.
Aside from Hereditary, what horror movie let you down the most?
Ooh.
I have to ask.
Bitch! Let me tell you. What horror movie let me down the most was the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
That was the most recent, right? Like within the last 5 years, I think it was.
It actually came out 10 years ago.
Really?
A Nightmare on Elm Street? Yeah, the remake. I was still in high school. 2010. Yes, that's a plane. The plane!
It's weird. I heard through the headphones, but not through the... Anyway.
Strange.
Moving forward.
Stranger things have happened. I hated it because it had such promise, and they could have made it so good, but they didn't. Mm. And the one cool thing that they had was, obviously in the Nightmare on Elm Street, you go to sleep, you're going to die. Freddy's going to haunt you. And so the phrase is like, oh, stay awake, never sleep again. Mm-hmm. And in the remake, the cool thing that they did is after you reach a certain point of exhaustion, your brain needs to dream. So then you start dreaming in reality. And that gives Freddy a chance to come at you in the real world. Oh. Super cool concept. Horribly executed.
Got it.
It was absolutely wretched. And it let me down so much because I'm such a huge fan of the original franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic franchise.
Absolutely.
Now,
what is your
least
favorite remake?
I have one.
Okay.
And then I have a mild tangent to go off of. So my most hated, most disappointed horror/thriller movie, The Happening.
Never even saw that they did a remake.
Remake?
Didn't you say it was a remake?
The Happening?
You asked me what my horror remake that let me down was, didn't you?
No, like what horror movie in general.
Oh, yeah, that one let me down. Still a remake.
Yeah.
But it was horrible.
But The Happening. So it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, okay.
So it's Mark
No
Wahlberg.
twists. Oh, is this the one with the fog thing?
It's
in the air?
Yeah. It's literally
Stupid.
like it just kind of happens. And everyone starts dying, and everyone, either, they try to kill themselves, or they just die, or whatever. And they're running, they're trying to escape, and eventually, at the very end of the movie, I'm just going to ruin it for everybody, because just let me save your time. It's him, and I forget who the other person was, but they're in two separate, little cabins, just looking at each other, this is it. This is the end. We might as well just accept it. And they both walk out at the same time, and walk slowly towards each other. Nothing happens. And that's the end.
Touches a little too close to home on COVID. Just things in the air. People are dying.
You have all been saved at least 90 minutes. You're welcome. I hope you spend that time productively. And if I could
spend that 90 minutes watching us.
Yeah. if I could go on a mild tangent right now, is one gripe I have is with BuzzFeed, because every fucking year,
BuzzFeed.
It's every year. It's like, this new movie coming out will leave you pissing your pants and shitting your bed. And no, it doesn't. Do you remember that Spanish movie, Veronica, that came out?
No.
Yeah, it was not good.
Veronica? Who was in it?
It was a foreign movie, so no one I can name.
Huh.
It was also subtitled, but it was supposed to be the scariest movie. Your viewers can't even get through without turning it off. No, yes,
I'm
they can.
more scared of the voice you're doing
yes,
right now,
can.
actually.
You should be, honestly. It had maybe a few moments, but it was just and it's not even the subtitle thing. It's just the fact that it wasn't gripping. It didn't pull you in and really make you involved.
Gotcha.
If I could, however, credit foreign movies, there is, when I mentioned zombie movies before, Train to Busan.
I've heard very good things about that.
Hands down, the best new age zombie movie I have ever seen. On par with the original Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, on par.
Zombie movies are so tricky because they teeter on the borderline of scary and then tacky. It's such a fine line.
I feel like this one they did it right.
Okay.
They made it a
you know what zombie movie
story
did
of survival.
Do it right?
What's that?
You want to know a zombie movie didn't do it right? Oh my god. Why can't I think of the name of it now? House of the Dead. Remember they turned the video game into a movie?
I do remember that, but I didn't see it.
Oh,
'Cause
I remember seeing
I
it.
knew it was going to be bad.
I remember seeing it in theaters and thinking like, oh, they tried to make this girl go from like a club party girl into like the video game like hero.
Yeah.
Because they gave her the like wife beater and then it got ripped and then like the bosoms were out.
The bosoms.
The bosoms. They were nice.
I mean, really, same thing too with the Resident Evil series.
Resident Evil started off really strong and then I feel like it took a little
It got
kind of
way too
dip
insane.
into crazy and then it
Yeah.
just survived.
It got way too involved with like superhuman superpowers and like shit like that.
Yeah.
And
the whole like multiple Mila Jovovich characters.
It's
too much.
It was such a shame because the game series, the majority of them are awesome. And
Yeah.
I grew up playing them. I grew up getting scared by them. And then those movies came out and I was like, what happened? And there's like 10 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's
like
a lot of
10
Resident
of
Evil,
them.
which is crazy because I feel like the first one didn't come out that long, and it probably came out in like 2001,
If not earlier.
maybe. Who knows? Who truly knows? Now,
But wait, before you do that.
yes. Tell me. Talk to me.
Now, there's the live action movies. And then there's a series of animated movies that Resident Evil did. And those are actually like good.
Animated?
Yeah.
Ooh.
They are actually like, they actually were entertaining and they were much better than the live action.
The first Resident Evil was really cool, like the live action one.
Yeah, because it definitely dove more into like what the actual story was. Like they had to put
Right,
they
they
had
put
to put
the-
their little
yeah.
like twists and different names and stuff on it because they didn't. I don't think they wanted to pay like all the copyrights and stuff, but you know, like the original names in there weren't the ones that followed what was
Right,
made.
right.
But they are making a series now for Netflix apparently.
Resident Evil? Mm-hmm. Bitch.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
So excited about that actually.
I did a little research, and I wrote down, I wouldn't necessarily say my favorite horror movie, but a horror movie that I've seen from every year since I've been born.
Okay.
And I want to start off with a good old 1994 classic, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Have you seen it?
I have not.
So it's
this
actually
your list? Is this your list
that's
here?
what this list is. Yes. Now, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Let me give you a little brief synopsis. Came out about 10 years after the first one,
Okay.
and it is probably one of the coolest ways of like life imitating art. Because Wes Craven is writing this new movie, and everything suddenly starts happening, and it's all real, and she's going crazy, and then in the end, it's like, oh, it was just the movie.
I'm sorry.
Hold it back. Say what you want to say. Don't hold it back anymore. Get closer to the mic.
I appreciate where you're going. I was invested, but I saw your list, and though it may or may not be on there, I couldn't help but think about a horror movie experience that was near and dear to Vince and I's heart, and that is The Visit.
That's not on the list, but bitch. That movie... Was that an M. Night Shyamalan movie?
It might have been.
That was actually not a bad horror movie.
Honestly, the twist was good in that one.
That was a good twist. So
The
a lot
twist was good in
of
that
horror
one.
movies don't have good twists.
But it's hard to appreciate a good horror movie when you're watching it, you're invested, and it's really quiet. You're really quiet, and it's really silly. Like it's not really silly, but it's really quiet,
Intense.
and it's intense, and the tension's building. And
you're paying attention.
Oh God, what's gonna happen? and then it happens.
Fucking grandma.
Naked grandma. And it's
She wasn't naked. She was in a nightgown.
I thought she was no.
When she did the thing where she ran across the hall, she was in the nightgown, no?
I think she might have been naked. I could have sworn there was saggy titty.
Maybe, girl. Put a bra on. Get a little support.
But in the middle of the movie, you know, like we're sitting there. It's quiet. It's nighttime.
It was spooky.
There was like 3 or 4 of us watching it, and it was just like, you know, we're sitting there, and then in the like there's stuff happening on the screen, and then in the background you just hear like the, and it's naked grandma.
Naked grandma.
Naked grandma. It
you know
actually
what it is?
It was not that bad of a movie though. It actually was, and it was entertaining, and it was actually pretty solid.
I'm going to tell you a little something about horror movies.
Tell me.
I want to be scared. I want to be terrified to go to sleep. I want to be looking over my shoulder. I want to like be scared of the shadows in the night. I want to be scared. One thing that I hate is a lot of like new age horror will do this thing where it's like a super like build up for scary, and then they hit you with a joke and like a funny punchline. So like the grandma running, like that was hysterical.
I mean,
It might have been hysterical for us, but it probably was scary for like a 2-year-old.
At the same time, though, it definitely catches you off guard.
Yeah, but it was just so silly.
You know what I'm getting mixed up with?
What?
The naked grandma. So I think I'm almost positive that you're right about the nightgown. I think I'm getting the naked grandma mixed up with It Too.
Yes.
Remember we saw it, and that was it was almost kind of the same thing because she goes to visit, and then in the background it's
And then
just
she
like
starts moving like the rubber man.
yeah.
Did you ever see that video? Going to the Tra-la-la-la store.
Yeah.
So that's not on my list because
It or The Visit.
both.
Okay.
Actually, the next one on my list, and they're both next to each other. 1995, Candyman, and then 2020 is Candyman because I really am curious to see how the two are. A few characters from the original Candyman I think are in the sequel, not the sequel remake, the new one,
The upcoming,
the
soon to be
Gandema.
Yeah.
Gandema. Tony Todd, he is a force to be reckoned with in the horror film like industry. He was obviously Candyman, Final Destination. He's been in a shit ton of horror movies. He's just got a really creepy demeanor, and the way he talks is very creepy. Almost like Vincent Price, how Vincent Price was like the original voice of horror. You have to know who I'm talking about, right? Tony Todd?
I don't.
Candyman.
It's been
Candyman.
a long time. I know Candyman. I don't know actors by name. I heard you. John Candyman. Yeah, fuck with that one. Yeah, it's been such a long time since I've seen Candyman. But that Candyman and like Bloody Mary are both like very, when I was a kid, were super scary to me because it's just one of those things where it's just like, they're there.
Let me tell you, I fucking wish. I always thought, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll sit in the mirror. I'll light a candle for the ambiance, and I'll say it 3, 4, 5 times, whatever. How many times you're supposed to say it? That's the thing. Is like,
I think it's 3.
Well, I think Bloody Mary is 3 and Candyman is 5.
Oh, okay.
Or it could be backwards. Like there's always someone skews it up, and switches it up. Telephone and all that stuff. But I would never actually like do the like I would probably say 2 and then be like, I'm not in the mood to die tonight. But as every day in 2020 goes on, bitch, you better believe it.
You get ready for that 3rd Bloody Mary.
And then I'm just gonna follow it with Bloody Mary.
Bitch. You know what movie I saw for the first time pretty recently? I'd say within the last 2 years. That was I think you would consider it a cult classic. Is Jeepers Creepers. And I have to say, along with Halloween, and I'll get to the point here. Along with Halloween, Jeepers Creepers frustrated me to no end
Because
every time they think the villain, whether it be the Creeper or Mike Myers, is dead, they're just like, he's dead, let's leave. No. If it's one thing I learned from Zombieland. Did you ever see Zombieland?
Yes. With
Love
Emma
that movie.
Stone, Jesse Eisenberg, yes.
Yep. Is the double tap.
The double tap?
Double tap. If your target is knocked down, whether it be the Creeper or Mike Myers, especially in the instances, especially in Jeepers Creepers, where they fucking run his ass over,
Yeah.
and they just leave. No. You back up, forward and backwards until you know that guy's head is just gone. You do a burnout on that skull and the body, or you light it on fire or something. You flip the car on top of it.
It's not a spooky movie. However, it's spooky. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Wonderful TV series. They have good Halloween episodes, actually. Now, in the season 2 premiere, Buffy takes a sledgehammer and like obliterates the skeleton of this vampire because they were trying to bring him back from the dead. And it was like, you ain't coming back no mo. Best believe that would be me in a horror movie. If I made it that far where I got the killer down, I would not leave until they were decapitated. until their limbs were cut off.
Yeah.
And until every body part was so far away from each other that there's no way that it could just magnetically attach back and heal.
Because there's been so many cliches where it's like they're just like breathing heavy over the
horror,
dead body.
It's the horror movie format.
Right. They're like sitting there breathing heavy over the dead body. Just, it's over. It's finally over. And they walk away, and the camera like pans down, and the hand like makes a fist or starts to move or something.
Right.
And here comes part 2.
And this is a great segue because one of the films that acknowledges this in 1996, Scream. At the end of the movie, Randy, Jamie Kennedy's character, says, "This is the moment where the supposedly dead killer comes back for one last scare." And Nev Campbell fucking kill shots that motherfucker in the forehead and goes, "Not in my movie." Same energy. I'm bringing that same energy into a horror movie. Not in my movie. Do you know that woman who like fixes my life? She's got a show on like TLC or something. She's got shaved head, and she's like, there's a clip of her where she's at a table and she's like, "Not on my watch."
I have no idea what you're talking
I'm gonna have to show you that. If you know that meme, please let me know, because not on my watch.
On that topic of the double tap and taking out the killer,
Yes.
classic horror movie icons. Who do you think you could take?
To bed? I'd. That's how I would die.
Do you think that you would be able to deflect the killer by being like, "Come and get me, bitch. I'm gonna fuck you."
After you're done stabbing me and putting a gaping hole in my chest, can you put a gaping hole in my anus?
Oh my god.
That's disgusting. I would probably be like one of the first 5 people dead. Because knowing me, I would try to seduce my way out of it. And I would end up like Kelly Rowland, Freddy vs. Jason. She totally tried to like do that. And then it didn't work. And she got fucked up.
See, one thing, like in terms of classic horror movie villains and icons,
There's so many to choose from.
I feel like the ones that are feasible that an average Joe, whether like you or myself or whoever else could take down, could only be like the actual human ones, like Mike Myers, Leatherface.
Nope. Mike Myers, superhuman strength for some reason. Have you seen how fast he can
But
walk?
see, that's just it. Superhuman strength for some reason. If you are properly equipped, like let's say you find yourself in a situation like in any of the movies where you actually find yourself in like a shed and you can get yourself like an axe, a machete, a shovel.
You have to have good coordination and
a
aim.
shovel. But see, if you have yourself, like if you find yourself with like a garden tool, a shovel, I'm sorry to say, like a shovel has a lot more, distance than
A knife.
and he has just a kitchen knife. Like I get
You know
it's
who
probably
I-
like the length of this bottle, but here's the thing about it is I've thought about this a lot because
Okay.
I always want to try and be prepared.
Very
for when
passionate
shit
about
happens.
this. I want to know.
What ends up happening is the hero or the main character in movies, what they do with those kinds of characters, whether it be Jason, Leatherface, Mike Myers, any human,
Final Girl,
what's the guy from Scream called?
Ghostface.
They never go for the legs.
Yeah, it's very weird.
If you let's say, like I said, if you have yourself a shovel, a baseball bat, or something with
Monica
little bit
Lewinsky,
of,
that bitch.
a little bit of distance, Monica Lewinsky is definitely not who you're talking about.
Nope, you're absolutely right. Nancy Kerrigan.
I mean, you and Monica Lewinsky, somebody, you would try to blow your way out of it.
I told you I would. I told you I would totally try to Monica Lewinsky my way out of it.
You would be the person.
No,
that's
I
like,
meant Nancy Kerrigan with the pipe.
you would be the person like sitting there with your bat, just like
I'd have a giant dildo, a giant hard dildo.
you would have a baseball.
I'm just gonna beat somebody up with this little hand. Just,
You would have a baseball tip with a baseball bat with a mushroom tip. Just like, okay,
fully lubed.
if I miss, I'm just gonna go in mouth open. But that's the thing about it. If somebody had that instance where like, because what always ended up happening is they'd be behind the corner, waiting,
And they'd be
waiting,
holding this.
waiting, and they take one good hit and they conk the guy in the head. They go down, and that's the end of it. They're like, I did it, and they leave and they fucking run, and then they get found. All they have to do at that point, you successfully knock down your attacker. You keep going. Or you take them out at the knees. You're not. I don't care how superhuman strong you are.
You ain't getting back from
You're
kneecap.
a human, and if someone blows out your kneecap, you're not done. You're done.
Yeah, you're
not,
done.
You're not.
You're
walking.
done. You're done, kid.
Trust me. In my family, we gonna do it the old-fashioned way. I'm gonna take your fucking knees out.
It's a horrible Italian mobster accent,
It's
wasn't
like
it?
a very, very out of breath Marlon Brando. Like
It
like
serves me right.
You finish what you're talking, and then you take the oxygen mask. And, now let me come and tell you about like
About Big Ziti.
it's like Old Man Jenkins and Marlon Brando.
My thing with killers is there's some things where it's like, how are you suddenly so petrified in fear? I'll tell you who I could take. Fucking good guy doll Chucky. I'm gonna give that guy a swift kick, knock his ass down.
Yeah.
He's a doll.
He's a doll. I mean, it's one thing if he's armed, if he has a knife, he's a force to be reckoned with because he's quick.
He's got
and
short legs,
and he can
so he
get you.
can't move distance unless he's running at super fast times.
But
baseball bat, bitch, I'm knocking a home run out. What are you
But
talking about?
at the same time, you have to also consider the mystical factor. That's why, like, with like the human killer, you have Ghostface, you have Freddy, you have Jason, you have
Freddy is in your dreams. You can't fight him.
sorry, not Freddy, Mike Myers, Jason, Leatherface. Leatherface is one who scares me because not only is he
Total psycho.
he's fast, he's psychotic, and I don't know if you've ever held a chainsaw, but moving a chainsaw quickly
That's hard. You
is
gotta have
hard. You gotta be like
strength.
yeah, and that dude doesn't stop coming.
I hate you.
Now, when it comes to your other classic horror icons like Freddy, I would not stand a chance.
Absolutely not.
Unless I had control of my own dreams and he was like, I'm coming to get you. It's like, oh yeah, well, guess
Lucid
what?
dreaming.
Guess what? I'm Optimus Prime now. Guess what? Here I come, bitch. And you know, like blow him in half with your laser gun because you're a Transformer. It's two different stories. Like if I'm me in my dreams, just like trying to run, I'm gonna make it 30 feet before I'm out of breath, and he's just gonna whoop right through my fucking sternum.
Absolutely.
But if I'm in control of my dreams, yeah, I'm gonna turn myself into fucking Superman or again Optimus Prime,
Well,
and I'm gonna run his ass over.
how many of the Nightmare on Elm Streets have you seen? Because there's a few.
2
Okay.
and the Simpsons parody.
The Simpsons have a parody of that?
Yeah, Treehouse of Horror they're doing where they make Willie, Freddy.
Oh, I have to watch this now.
That's a good one.
In the third one, Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warrior. That is when the first final girl from the first movie comes back and helps all these kids who are having the same nightmares as she was. And she's trying to help teach them control their dreams. And the one girl, she's like, in my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad with like little fucking switchblades and shit. And I'm like, girl, the mohawk is cute. It's a look, but what else is there? What else you got going on? And then this one guy, his character is in a wheelchair in the movie, and then in his dreams, he's a wizard with like all these magical powers. They both got killed.
They're not doing it right.
They're not doing it right. You got to know how to do it right.
Now,
I'll tell you who I probably could have taken. And I know what you did last summer. That guy, the fucking fisherman.
He's another human. You're right.
And like, okay, you're creepy and weird, and like maybe I don't know what the fuck you look like, but once I know what you look like I'm not gonna be like, what are you waiting for? No, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna fucking bust your kneecaps out. I'm gonna cut off your other hand.
You know who could probably take down most or any just regular human killers? Kevin McAllister
Macaulay Culkin, absolutely.
from Home Alone.
1,000 percentile.
If he can take down,
If he could take down home invaders, I'm sure he could take down a
He could take-
superhero
they
killer.
they were trying to kill him. The wet bandits or sticky bandits, they were trying to kill him, and they got taken down by a series of booby traps. And if you're telling me that if Mike Myers or I Know What You Did Last Summer guy, Ghostface, they're trying to go after a booby trapped house, they're not going to make it.
Well, in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Heather, oh my god, Nancy, I was calling her by her real name, her government. Nancy, before she goes to sleep to try to bring Freddy out of her dreams into reality, sets up a whole house of booby traps. And she fucks them up real good.
There you go.
But she was locked in her house, so she couldn't run out. As her father, who's a cop, is across the street, checking in on the murder of her dead boyfriend. R.I.P. Johnny Depp's character. Forgot what his name was. think that was his first movie role,
Let's just say
actually.
his name was Octavius.
Someone who you can't escape is just death.
True.
And probably one of the scariest film franchises, even though it started getting super outlandish, Final Destination.
Final Destination, yeah.
Final Destination, I don't like driving on highways some days. I would never go to a lay down tanning bed. Ever. I didn't go on roller coasters for a long time after that.
I still don't like roller coasters. And that was before Final Destination. I was not a fan. Now, if I could...
Yes.
One thing I don't find very like appealing about the horror franchise is when people, directors and stuff, they go for shock value.
I know.
They bring you in just to make you go, ugh. Like those commercials where like they see the crowd and like they have the night vision and it films the reactions and stuff. Like
Yeah. The gasps of like Paranormal Activity, girl.
Paranormal Activity.
That was that was all about jump scares. You want to know what the scariest part of that movie actually was for me?
What's that?
At the beginning. It started. That was it. It was so bad. No. Actually, there's a part in the first one where they had a Ouija board out.
Yeah.
And then it just like catches on fire. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ooh, that was creepy as fuck. You want to talk about a movie that does things for shock value?
Saw?
Actually, not really.
Saw?
Shock. Oh, you said yeah.
I said Saw.
Oh, Saw. I mean, yeah. Saw. The first two were okay.
Yeah. Now, before we continue, we did just talk about this.
What? Saw?
Yeah.
We did. Absolutely. The first two were good.
The first two were good.
And then the rest of them
It became
started
like,
getting outlandish.
It became like a crime drama after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to play a game? Anyway.
Do you want to play with these nuts?
One thing that I've been thinking about actually was... actually, before I get into it, very recently,
Yes.
Marvel, they did New Mutants, which is a kind of like a horror movie take on the X-Men.
Ooh.
I've been meaning to see it.
Okay.
I haven't heard
Didn't
anything
even hear
it.
about this.
I haven't. It got delayed like 7 times.
Oh.
I haven't heard much about it, but I know what I've been told is like don't expect an X-Men movie, but it's supposed to be like a little bit more of a horror movie spin-off, and they're also working on the new Doctor Strange, which is Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, and that's supposed to be like a true Marvel horror movie.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited about that. And then they're also revamping Blade, which is the vampire.
Really?
The vampire.
I
hunter.
did like Blade.
And
is Wesley Snipes going to be in it?
it's not Wesley Snipes. It's actually oh god, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. It's
Idris Elba?
No, it's not Idris Elba. It's something Ali. Fuck. I'm gonna look it up because I'm gonna butcher it. I know for sure.
You look it up, and I'm going to tell you. You want to
Yeah.
know? You like zombie movies? I actually like movies that have a realistic approach to them, and probably one of the weirdest movies that ever fucked me up to watch was The Strangers.
The Strangers was fucked up.
The
Did you
Strangers
see part
was
2?
I did. I didn't care for the second one.
I was gonna say it was terrible. Let's talk about part 1.
Let's talk about part 1. Part 1, it was just very interesting because there was this just weird like. I don't want to say like melancholy, but it was just very like.
It was the ominous.
It was very slow and just quiet and not a lot of like. And that's the thing is not a lot of jump scares. You had the person hiding in the window and like that caught you off guard, but it wasn't like the loud crash sound and all this stuff. And then just them asking why and the person saying because you were home. Mm-hmm. That's some scary shit because that can happen any fucking time, anytime.
Forgive me on the pronunciation. Mahershala Ali.
Marshall. Okay.
He was very recently. I mean, I am not very familiar with a lot of his work, but he was one of the villains in the Luke Cage series.
Ooh.
And he was great. In fact, Luke Cage season 1 and 2, I loved both. They were great, honestly. Very excited to see his take on Blade. It will be interesting to see him do Wesley Snipes justice because Wesley Snipes,
iconic.
Not only that, but he actually also is a trained martial artist. So
really,
yeah. So I'm pretty sure he did a lot of his own stunts in that movie. I do have to say that 1 and 2 were great in my opinion.
You didn't like Blade Trinity?
I wasn't a fan of 3.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds has my heart, so it's the only reason. That's the only reason why that movie's any tiniest bit of like stomachable. Ryan Reynolds. Same thing with Scream 3. Scream 3 had a horrible like plot going on. Parker Posey saved it for me.
Okay.
Now,
And that's-
let's talk about a movie that has absolutely horrible reviews, but is a fantastic movie.
Oh, God.
It is absolutely wonderful, and it's more of a campy horror movie, and I love it so much.
Is it Sleepaway Camp?
No,
Okay.
it's Jennifer's Body.
That's the Megan Fox movie?
Yes.
Okay, I never saw that one.
Girl. That movie, so underrated. If you haven't seen Jennifer's Body, you need to look at it from a different standpoint, because it's really like a movie about best friends, and they were marketing it as like the hot girl gets revenge on guys, and it just failed miserably.
Okay.
But it's such a fun movie. There's so many, like, it's fun because they talk so sarcastically to each other. It's a little, probably wouldn't, get released today, but Diablo Cody, that was her follow-up to Juno.
Interesting.
And it bombed. But, like, her first movie, she did Juno, and she won an Oscar, so everything was going to be downhill from there.
Who's Diablo Cody?
The director and writer.
Oh, okay, because I was like, that definitely wasn't the girl who played Juno.
No, that's Ellen Page.
Ellen Page, yeah.
Diablo Cody was the writer of Juno.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw. It was a Netflix horror movie. I actually thought it was pretty solid. It was called Terrifier.
Huh.
It had that. It was the clown. He was in like the black and white makeup.
Clowns are always creepy.
Well, he's because he doesn't talk. He doesn't make any noises, but he just like sits there and he'll watch you and he'll like smile. I'll just fuck with you. Also, a little bit more grotesque than I expected,
Okay.
but honestly, like, not bad.
The thing with horror movies is that, like, they keep trying to reinvent killing.
Well, that's just it right there. You said it. They keep trying too hard.
Yeah, they're doing the most.
Do less.
I mean,
Here,
listen,
bring it here.
not even that, but like I like a realistic kill, and you don't have to always do like a bucket of blood everywhere.
Right, unless you're Tarantino.
Oh my god. Like, I don't know if you can consider Kill Bill like a horror movie, but that
I'm just
scene with the
talking-
crazy 88
I'm
with
just
just
talking
the
the
blood
bucket of blood
everywhere.
thing, yeah. But I mean, it also too, like, there are moments where like you can be cheesy, but
Yes.
you don't have to be. Like, where like, I saw a clip show actually of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
And I want to use that as an example because she'll say like a little quip
As
and
she's
be like,
doing
"This
the
is the
thing.
end of the line for you, bucko," and
Okay.
throw a spear from 800 feet away, and it's made of silver just through the heart of
Mm-hmm.
the vampire, and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That it's always been very campy with the puns on Buffy, and I can very appreciative of that. I like a good pun. However, they sometimes they just do. It's sometimes like you're teetering between like again comedy and like tackiness.
Yeah.
You gotta ring it in. What's crazy is how many like horror franchises start off so serious, and then as it goes on, they become more campy and comedy than horror. Freddy Krueger, that happened with the Nightmare on Elm Street
It
franchise.
got like comedic, right?
Absolutely. The Leprechaun franchise.
Didn't see that.
Leprechaun franchise. Unfortunate. Child's Play and like Bride of Chucky. It was a whole new genre of movie.
You know what movie ended up, if you look at it in real life, what became a horror movie?
What?
Willy Wonka.
That is an actual horror movie.
That is definitely a horror movie.
Both Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Because that dude just watches kids die. And he's just like, bop, whatever.
He's like, huh, what a show.
You become chocolate now, Augustus.
Ooh, ba, doo, ba, doo, ba, dee, doo. Let's talk about let's talk about a movie that we watched together.
Is it The Green Inferno?
Yes. How did you know? How did you know?
I actually wanted to talk about
Oh
that.
my god, because
But
I
man.
was talking about that movie the other day. That movie's fucked up.
That movie is very fucked up.
That movie's very fucked up, and that's why I'll never do anything charitable with my time,
And
because
that's,
that's a lot.
Eli Roth, that's what he's known for. It's
Yeah,
just, like,
that
very-
Hostel, very gruesome.
Yeah, Hostel I really didn't care for. Like, Hostel, I feel like the story,
The first one was good.
it's just like, yeah, here it is, and here's a lot of ew.
You want to
Same
know
thing
what's
with, like-
scary about Hostel, though? Is like Hostel could happen. Like there's
yeah.
hostels in all these other countries, and they
Well,
could have
also,
some type of a deal with
'cause
whatever.
If you really think about it, like Hostel could happen the same way Taken happened,
Yeah.
where anybody could just be like, oh yeah, get in my cab, we'll
I
share
like-
it, whatever.
I like a horror movie that is just out of touch with reality, just by like a hair. It's just a little bit too much that it couldn't really happen, but maybe it could.
Yeah.
Movie that was absolutely fucking stupid. And Katie, if you're listening to this, sorry. Cabin in the Woods. Do you ever see Cabin in the Woods? The original or the remake? That's a remake.
Is Cabin in the Woods the one where they it's like the flesh-eating bacteria in the water?
That's a different
That's
one.
Cabin Fever.
Yeah, that's Cabin Fever.
Cabin in the Woods is where they're like being watched, right?
It's like a group of partying teenagers,
It's like
and
a
then
simulation?
they turn into like these cliche versions of themselves, and it's a simulation where people underground are sacrificing them to some like huge god, and it's whatever to keep them at bay for however many fucking years.
You know, it was actually a pretty solid series of movies.
What?
I shouldn't say series of movies, but movies where people get trapped and forced to do things, like the Truth or Dare series.
Huh?
There was also one, I don't remember what it was called, but it's like people go to a dinner and then they get locked in the room. And it was Would You Rather?
I was just gonna say, was it Would You Rather?
Would You Rather? That movie fucked me up a little bit. Because that is a very insane scenario, which I also believe it's kind of like almost like The Most Dangerous Game, where you think you're on vacation, you're having a nice dinner, it's an island, and it's like, by the way, I'm going to give you 24 hours. I know this island in and out. I'm going to hunt you. I'm going to be on my ATV with my rifle. If I find you, you will die. If you exceed the time limit, you get to live. And you might win a cash prize or something. I don't remember. But that kind of shit, because let's face it, rich people, I think they're all pretty crazy.
Probably one of the movies that was interesting as to touch on that with rich people, The Purge. Purge series?
I never saw a single one of those.
The first one was
Does
interesting.
it have to do with rich people, or does it have to do
Well,
with...
so like, obviously, if you know the premise of The Purge, then you know what's going on in the movies. But in The Purge, like, rich people will like go out and kill like poor people.
Is it rich versus poor? I thought it was just everybody versus everybody.
It's everyone versus everybody, but like, there's like an elite group of like rich people who will hunt out poor people to kill for their own enjoyment because they can on that night.
Interesting. Okay.
I think in the second one it was more prevalent.
Because there's like 6 of them, right?
There's a few. There's a TV show.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. They shot it in Staten Island. Oh yeah, it was almost an extra. Almost. Ooh.
Sitting next to a celebrity over here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, girl. You better redneck it nice. Now, let's wrap things up. Give me your favorite scary movie and your least favorite scary movie.
I feel like I already did that.
Did you?
The Happening.
That's different. Like, that's a movie that you hate, but like, is there any other ones that you don't like? What's your favorite though? You didn't tell me your favorite.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, I have to
Come
think.
on, man.
Are we talking like favorite classic icon or just like favorite?
Just
scary?
favorite Halloween movie. Favorite movie to watch around Halloween. Spooky season.
Spooky season. I don't know. I kind of feel like I don't have a favorite. I mean, there's definitely some that I've been bored and I've watched that caught me off guard as like very interesting. What Lies Below or What Lies Beneath or what? No. Fuck. What's it called? It's part of a saying. As above, so below, or something like that. It's where like a bunch of teenagers go into the catacombs of France, like the Boneyard.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
That movie was pretty
I
interesting.
thought the movie was called Catacombs.
No.
There's a movie called Catacombs.
There is a
Pink
movie
is in
called-
it.
Yeah, there's a different movie. And then also, I think this might have been another Eli Roth movie. I could be wrong. The Descent, where they go like cave exploring, and that fucks me up because it's very claustrophobic. And it ties back to what we talked about that one time with like anxiety and watching people dive through like caves, not knowing what's on the other side.
Right.
That it gave me a little bit of anxiety watching some of that shit. But in terms of movies disliking, I'm sure you heard me say it once. You'll hear me say it again. You'll hear me say it several times. Hereditary, just very low on that
Totally
list.
missed the mark. It totally missed the mark.
Very
And I
low
had
on
such
that
high
list.
hopes for Toni Collette.
Midsummer is also down there. Really, like, could not get into it, man. Like, I do want you to watch it because it is that bizarre.
I don't want to watch it because I know it's going to suck.
I need to know your opinion though, and I will rewatch it with you.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
It is very hard to find 3 hours of time, though.
Yeah,
3 hours
that's
of
a
time,
long time.
3 hours of time you're willing to be like, well, let's see what this is about.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm really like all in for all that.
Yeah.
Probably one of my least favorite horror movies that I've ever seen is called It Follows.
Oh, yeah.
It was bad.
Is that the one where it's like an STD, but
Yes.
is a sexually transmitted
Yes,
demon?
sexually transmitted ghost demon thing. Yes.
Yeah, no, and not STG, STD, sexually transmitted demon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't understand like why it was such a flop. It really had like such promise, but at the same time, it's like
A poor execution.
yeah,
Poor
execution.
Yeah.
A lot of movies have poor execution, and they'd be so much better. One that I will say is a favorite of mine is on the table today, and it's called Disturbia.
Is that the one with Shia LaBeouf?
Yes, I like it because it's very reminiscent of Rear Window, which is a classic Alfred Hitchcock movie.
That's what the wheelchair.
And he's
Yeah.
watching from his window. Yes, that similar kind of parallels. I like that. I like when things take elements from a movie,
it's
but
like an
it's not a
homage.
remake.
It's like an homage.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
In honor of, if you would.
In honor of, yes, I agree. And let's end this episode by asking everyone listening, what's your favorite scary movie?
Yeah, can you please, like, if you're going to interact with us on anything,
Let us know your favorite scary movie, your least favorite scary movie, your favorite genre.
What's your favorite scary movie?
There you go. And that's it, everyone. Join us next week.
stay spooky.
Ooh.